but I don't really know. I feel a little vain. What would you say to somebody that you personally knew who was kind of interested in getting plastic surgery but wasn't quite sure? What would you say? Would you steer them towards her?
Oh, absolutely. I've done it before. Just talk to them about how you have to be comfortable in your own skin. Whatever that means for you is what it means for you. And there's no harm in seeking out any option that's going to help you get there eventually. So whether that means you go for a consultation with Dr. Lee and you decide against it, or you decide to go for it, it's really a matter of how you get to that decision process and the people you enlist along the way to help you get there. And Dr. Lee is definitely one of those people that you enlist along the way to help you understand what's going to be most beneficial to you. You know, there's talking to friends, there's talking to family, and then there's talking to a practitioner who is well-trained and is able to connect with you and understand what brought you into the office on that particular day. So I think all those things really help in that process.
What would you say are 3 benefits of being a patient of Dr. Lee's?
I would say being comfortable, coming in, understanding that you're going to be listened to, and understanding that you're going to be supported no matter what you decide to do. Feeling listened to. I'm sorry, I can't think of 3 things.
Okay. If I'm going to ask you the same question, if you could say it in a complete sentence, like being a patient of Dr. Lee's makes me feel, or being a patient of Dr. Lee's, Dr. Lee, you know, what am I trying to say?
You know, kind of like
I
a
know,
question.
no, that's fine.
Yeah.
So like if Dr. Lee, you know, if when I come here, Dr. Lee makes me feel, or when I tell other people about Dr. Lee, you know, I feel like she's this and all the qualities that you feel like that she is, and that you've already described. So we're not trying to cover new ground, but you know, what would you say about Dr. Lee? 3 benefits of being a patient.
Yeah.
I would say the benefits of being a patient of Dr. Lee's are that you're going to be well educated when you leave her office. You're going to understand in depth what your procedure involves, whatever you decide to come in for. You're going to understand every single piece of that. She's going to explain to you very specifically. She'll draw you a picture if she has to, but she's going to make sure you leave her office understanding what you came in to want to understand. She's also compassionate. She's really going to be able to listen to you. You know, not only is she going to give you all of that information that you came in looking for, but she's going to not only make sure you understand it, but make sure that you feel comfortable with having come into her office, because I think she knows that it's a huge step to walk through the door. And she is so careful about holding that space of, you came into my office because you're concerned about something about you, and I want to understand you enough to understand what you're concerned about and how I can best help you. I think often people will come in with one idea and they'll leave knowing that they have more options than what they came in for. And I think that that's really helpful in being a patient of hers.
What would you recommend to others, people that maybe you don't know very well? You know, it's not just like, hey, let me tell you about this procedure that I had. If somebody's, you know, heard in the hallway or whatever, very kind of generally, would you recommend Dr. Lee to somebody you didn't know terribly well?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I would definitely recommend Dr. Lee to anybody who's interested in any kind of procedure to help themselves feel better or look better. She's just so skilled. I think the most important thing is to do your homework and to find someone who is going to provide you the service that you need, whether it's going all the way for surgery, whether it's some steps along the way there. I think it's important to do your homework, so I'd recommend research and then go to the best, and Dr. Lee is one of the best.
Did I miss something here? Is there anything that we haven't covered already that maybe you've said to other people that you just want to add about personally about how you feel about being here and feel about her personally?
Oh, I adore Dr. Lee. I've known her for a very long time now, it feels like, and I always want to find a reason to come back into her office.
Great. Well, I'm good. You got a lot of good answers.
Okay.
Okay. All right. You can't fail this test, by the way. All right, here we go. And so, name, rank, and serial number.
My name is Vicki Davis, and it's
Vicki. Yeah.
Okay, it's spelled Vikkidavis.
Okay.
And you're happy with the shirt?
You're
Everything's
ready?
looking good? We're rolling?
Everything?
Every
Okay.
good? Everybody happy?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Going.
Okay. What made you contact Dr. Lee when you were thinking about plastic surgery or whatever your procedure was? What made you initially contact her?
Actually, I worked out of this building, and I was coming out of a meeting from upstairs, and I was just wandering on the 4th floor, and I saw this lady walking out of this office all humped over, and I just stopped her and I said, "Are you okay?" And she said, "Yes." I said, "I noticed that you came out of this plastic surgery's office, Dr. Lee." I said, "So how was she?" And she said, "Absolutely wonderful." So what made me contact Dr. Lee is because the lady in the hallway was an African American lady. And I had visited several surgeries, plastic surgery centers, you know, over the last 3 years. And I had gotten recommendations from my girlfriends. But this was the only one that I had actually ran into someone who actually worked on women of color. And from that point on, I went back, did a little research on the web, and I contacted her for a consult.
Was there, and I know you just kind of described what that obstacle might be, but was there an obstacle that would have prevented you from coming here? You wanted to, you said you had contacted other people between that time of thinking about, yes, I want to get a procedure done, until that first conversation. What would have stopped you from making that call? Not to put it in a negative term, but what would there have been? Was there any hesitation?
None whatsoever. None whatsoever. I had planned this surgery. I am in my early 50s, and this was one of my benchmarks to have this surgery done by 50. I was pretty close, and there was no obstacles whatsoever. It was a long thought out plan. I had saved for it over 6 years. And the only obstacle really was finding a physician, you know, that's it.
I really like that you just said the only obstacle was finding the physician. If you could just start a new sentence saying the only obstacle was finding the physician, and fill that in with how you felt and found Dr.
Okay, so the only obstacle for me was finding a physician. I wanted to be comfortable with a physician that had actually worked with African Americans to understand their skin and their healing. I was really, really concerned about keloid. I did not want that to happen as a result of a surgery. And that was actually one of the first questions that I asked Dr. Lee. You know, I told her that I ran into another female of color out in the hallway, and she said that she was great, but here are my concerns. It was pretty clear with Dr. Lee that I had done my own research. I work in a healthcare environment, so I had all the doctors, you know, I could talk to any physician that I wanted to. So I was really at that particular point looking for a connection with someone that I felt comfortable with, someone that had actually worked on women, you know, my color, you know, and that's it.
So when you said, "Here are my concerns," how did she make you feel about that?
You know, very at ease. She knew that I was serious, and the answer was a serious answer. I don't remember exactly, but what I do remember is that it was like, okay, come on, I know exactly what you're coming from, that you're not the first that I've worked on, and here are the potential results. You know, that was it, and I was sold. I mean, I was here, I had to plan it out, but I was here, yeah. We had an immediate connection, I'm a mother of 3, she's a mother of 4. Yeah, it was just like talking to a girlfriend.
What did you like about being a patient of hers from the initial consultation, and how she made you feel about that through your post-care and your revisits? But let me just ask you, when you start talking about this, can you kind of phrase it in full questions? Dr. Lee made me feel, or kind of say Dr. Lee's name in there
Okay.
sometimes in your answers.
Okay. So after the first consult, there are follow-up visits prior to the procedure. I did have some medical concerns because, I have some medical histories. So Dr. Lee went over my history, and she was actually aware that I was a little bit concerned about being put to sleep. It's just that was the only fear, and she reassured me. She sat down with me, and she went over exactly what would happen, how long I would be under. And what was another comforting fact was Dr. Lee's anesthesiologist is actually her husband, and I really felt comfortable with that. She was there, and any questions that I had, she would answer. It was a no-nonsense answer. It wasn't a heavy answer. It was just the truth, And I consider myself a very good, I can read a person very well. By nature, I work with people. And I thought that Dr. Lee was just very genuine. It's a natural. I mean, some physicians, since I'm in that world, some physicians, they don't have the bedside. It's a learned behavior. And for me, Dr. Lee, it just came across very naturally.
So would you say Dr. Lee is very natural?
Yes, totally. She's sincere. Dr. Lee is, that's a part of her core. Yeah.
If you could just, that was a great big answer.
Okay.
If you had to say more in a statement form, Dr. Lee heard my concerns and made me feel comfortable about them, or Dr. Lee is, straightforward by nature and made me feel good about my decision.
Okay. In a statement form.
Or if you want to just say Dr. Lee is. Fill it in with however you felt about her.
For me, Dr. Lee was a very compassionate physician. She had the bedside manners. Not only did she have those manners, but she had the technical skills behind her. As a patient, she made me feel as if I was not only a patient, but a friend, that I could talk to her about things that was happening with me, the reasons why I wanted to have the surgery. So not only was she, a physician, but she was also a good listener. Dr. Lee made me feel as if, she understood the reason why I made the decision to have this. I had major surgery. And she pretty much validated my reasonings. I had worked very, very hard to maintain my body. I was not getting the results that I wanted. And she was honest with me. She told me, you can do all you want. You can go to all the Pilates classes, you can do all of this, you can do all of that. But this is what has happened to your body after having 3 kids. And it was just a sense of relief.
What would you say are 3 benefits of being a patient of Dr. Lee and, not another surgeon, but particular to her? 3 items or 3 characteristics of her and the way that she deals with patients that you would describe to somebody else?
3 characteristics, 3 behaviors, I'd more so say, okay? I would say one of the things is establishing a level of trust. So trust, competency.
How does she establish that trust?
Oh, how did she establish the trust?
Yeah.
Just by sitting down, taking the time, talking to you, and you feeling that she's listening and that she's actually heard you. That's a good way to establish trust. The way she spoke, I felt that she was very competent. I am not the expert in plastic surgery, but I think between the trust and the competency, those 2, are really key as far as a behavior and wanting to tell someone about, why would you go? And trust, competency, and I do believe that she's an honest and a good person, and I don't think that she is a physician, a plastic surgery that's out there just to make money, which was actually some of my experiences in the past. It was not about the money for her. It was what was best for the patient. So her recommendation to me, I came in with this grandiose idea of I wanted to have A, B, C, and D, and she was honest. No, this is all you need. This is all you need, whereas I had gone to other surgeries, plastic surgeons, and they've said, okay, we can do whatever you want. She said, no, this is all you need.
What would you say to somebody that you know who was thinking about plastic surgery but was a little hesitant, didn't want to make that initial phone call, but had been seriously thinking about it like you had? What would you say to them?
What I've said to them, because I do have a few friends that are seriously thinking about having the surgery, and I have told them, I understand your hesitation. I understand about going under the knife. I understand about being put to sleep. But I can assure you, if you just not only make that one phone call, but if you go to that first consult, you will walk away with a different perspective.
Let me ask you that question again.
Okay.
No, and it's a great answer.
Uh-huh.
That's how you feel.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about what you would say about going to have plastic surgery by Dr. Lee.